Okay, what the hey? We're back. It is the 17th of November 2020, and we are live.
You ready?
Yes, Michael, I am. Thanks.
Silent mode.
Yes, hello once again, folks, and thank you very much for joining me. Um, it's the first time in a very long time, but this is Drew. Some of you may know me as Silent Mode, and today I'm going to be drawing some icons on the screen. These icons are going to be for promotional use, and hopefully they'll come in useful in the near future as I get back into building and promoting myself. These icons are going to be of what I call the SilentMode family, and for those who don't know, it's a bunch of minifigures that represent me as an adult fan of Lego. They look like this essentially. I have 6 of them in the SilentMode family, and they start from this one here, which is the original one. It's changed over the years, but this is how it currently looks. And I've made sure to include a bunch of different characters. We've got 3 females, 3 males, and they represent me essentially. So without further ado, I'm just going to get into it. Hopefully you guys can see the screen. I'm using some different streaming software today. I haven't really gotten to grips with it, and for some reason it is not showing up for me. Let me see. Just give me a second. Something had to go wrong today. That's what it was. I just, for some reason, it wasn't. I had it disabled. But yes, you can see what I've got on the screen right now. This is actually a throwback to how I used to create graphics. I'm using Flash, Adobe Flash, Creative Studio 6, which is the most recent version until they decided to go online and you had to pay subscription, etc. But yes, this is how I used to create graphics back in the day, and I use Flash because you can create vector images very easily, and you can also play around with the curves, which is something I really liked. And there are a couple of, well, it's actually one. There's a speed drawing video somewhere on my channel, and that's where I use Flash to create the images. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. I've created a basic template in Illustrator. I printed it and just sketched over some designs for the different characters, and these are going to be what I'm creating. There's going to be 6 in total. So I'm going to start with the basic head shape, which is actually going to represent the first character, which is called the sig fig. So what I'm going to do is just trace over these outlines, and it's actually been a while since I've used this, so bear with me. Just create a rectangle here, and we want a transparent rectangle. Oops, that didn't work. Here we want a transparent rectangle with the outline. So let's try again with a stroke instead of a fill. We're just trying to get the shape of this rectangle. So this is how you can play around with the shapes, and that's what I liked. And you can select this edge here and move it around independently. And this made it much easier than something like Illustrator, where you'd have to know about Bezier curves to be able to manipulate these shapes. So I'll just move this one down here, and we want to get rid of those little bits in the corner. So yeah, I normally do this by myself, but I wanted to do a live stream of this just because I wanted to engage with people, as it's been a while, and also to show you guys what I've been up to, or some of the things I've been up to during this downtime. So I've just increased the width of the stroke to let's say 2.5, whatever that means. So we have these at the moment, and I'm just going to create or emulate some rounded corners. Okay, if you are joining me live, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Feel free to engage in the comment section. Um, I'll be very, I'll be very happy to answer any questions or comments you may have, as long as it's respectful, of course. Now, I would like to do this symmetrically. Let me just so create the circle here for one of the corners. I'm just going to create a copy of it and move it to the other corners. And do the same for the other sides. I think it's Shift Control V to paste in place. Yep. Right, so we have those corners, and then we can take away these bits. And then we can take away these inner curves. Alright. Now we're getting somewhere, I think. And then I think I dropped there somewhere. So I've just created a circle for the eye, and then duplicated it to create the other eye, just to make sure it's the same size. Now let's zoom in a little bit more. Let's create the top of this here. I'll just create another rectangle for the. This is going to be the stud on top, and I'll create another circle. Okay, that didn't work so well. Let's see what we can do with that. Okay, this is going to take. Okay, let's try this another way. We'll create the circle first, just to get the arc rather. That's been cut off there. Get rid of that, and then we'll create some lines. No, we won't. We'll create another rectangle. By the way, just so you guys know, I'm sat on the sofa at the moment, and I don't have a table, so everything's a little bit awkward at the moment. I'm not one of these fancy YouTubers with a 4K monitor or a fancy setup or anything, which is why you're seeing rather a screen share as opposed to my my glorious office setting. But there's nothing wrong with that if you have one of those. Okay, so we have that half, which is great. I'm going to try and copy this arc and flip it horizontally. Then we can move it while holding shift to this side, and we can take away those lines there, and we should have that whole shape there. And then very similarly for the bottom, what I'm going to do is create a rectangle. This should be much quicker. Create it up to here, and then with this middle line, just bend it. We have to break it apart because it's created a some kind of other shape. But with this middle line, we take it from the center and just drag it down to where we can bend it. To get that shape there. Alright. So that's the good news. We've essentially created one of the icons. That's the simplest one we can create. We can move the shapes independently to make it a little bit nicer, more pleasing to the eye. Okay, that's one. I'm just going to save my work. Let's move on to the next one. So for the others, we can just copy this outline and move it to wherever we want to start drawing the others. So I'm going to use, I think, this one for the next character. So all I'm going to do is move it roughly in place, and I'm going to create another layer, just using the timeline here to be able to draw over it. As a matter of fact, I will paste the shape for the other characters while I'm here. Okay, let me just have a very quick look. To see if there's anything going on in the comments section. Which I cannot see for some strange reason. Okay, there we go. Hello there, CamelBoy68. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for your support. So yes, while I'm screen sharing at the moment, I've got I'm fortunate to have a tablet with me so I can see what's going on in the chat section. So yeah, feel free to comment, ask me anything, whatever you feel like doing. Yes, I'm just hoping I don't get interrupted today because I'm expecting an Amazon delivery, and I know from previous experience they like to show up at inopportune times. Anyway, so you've pasted the basic shape over where we want to trace, and now we're going to, I'll put it on a separate layer, and now we're going to draw on a new layer so I don't interrupt these existing shapes. And I will change the color to, let's say green. So what I'm going to do is trace the outline of this hairstyle here to make the second icon. I'll just hide that outline here. So this is how I used to do it. I just took the basic line tool and I just started tracing these lines, and using the basic cursor, just bend the lines to get the shape that I want. Just remember that it's the N key that's a shortcut for using the line, which is very handy at the moment. So I'm just going to go all around this shape and trace the outline of the hairstyle. And this is essentially what I'm going to be doing for all the icons. Just to make things a little bit quicker, although I've got the time. I'm going to create the lines first and then bend them into the respective shapes afterwards. And yes, this is how I used to create graphics before I found some other means, before I became more familiar with Illustrator, Photoshop, all those other fancy packages. So going backwards, I'm just adjusting these graphics here. And yes, if you happen to watch my speed drawing video, which I did a very long time ago, this is pretty much exactly how I created that graphic. Right, so if we like, we can, I'll just hide this drawing layer here. If we like, we can simplify this path by using, I use this smooth tool here, as if I want to clean up the shape. Let's get rid of that kink there. Let's see how that looks. I think that's okay. Alright, let's go with that. And then we have this essentially. I'll just move on to the next one, which is this fine fellow here, and exactly the same procedure. Yes, this is how I used to create graphics when I was at university, all the way back in 2000. I had access to Flash. This was back when people would make animated cartoons and things in Flash. Unfortunately, Flash has been deprecated. It's reached its end of life, so I'm not sure what's going to happen to all of those now. I think people have found some other ways of making cartoons, and YouTube has pretty much taken over for that kind of thing anyway. And it's a shame because I've actually made a game not so long ago in Flash, and you won't be able to play it online anymore. So if I still want to release that game, I'm going to have to find an alternative solution. But yes, thankfully, we can still use this old version of Flash for the time being, and I can still use it to create graphics, which I haven't done in a long time. Yes, it's good to be back. It's been too long since I've put out a live stream. I haven't been very good with video content these days, but yeah, it's something that I am looking to get back into. So this particular shape here, this is the old school bandana. This is actually evil mode that I'm drawing here. I've not quite perfected the shape of the old school bandana, but I think this is a good enough approximation. I'm trying to create something relatively stylish and simplistic. I'm not going for realism. I'm not really a realism person, to be honest, but I think this is good enough for what it's intended for. Let's have a look at what that looks like without the other layers. It's okay. I think it's alright. I'll just move this in a little bit. And this is not so curvy. Yes, again, I like being able to play around with the curves, which is why I like drawing in Flash as opposed to Illustrator. So let's... I'm not too keen on this bit. Let's play around with it a little bit. And this, not so straight. Whoops. It was a nice little reminder to save my work from time to time. That's That's the last thing I want, to have done all this work on a live stream and then and then end up with a crash or something. Anyway, let's go with that for this particular face. We're going to go all the way over here to one of the more complicated um, characters to design. So we want to replicate this hairstyle here, and this was by far the most difficult to replicate. If I go back to my slideshow here, it's this character we're trying to do. And I remember when this hairstyle came out, so I thought it was really cool. I wanted to use it for this character, but to draw it, to get all those particular spikes, that was always a challenge. So what I did was just simplify it, because after all, it's my design, even though it's somebody else's hairpiece. And again, I'm not looking for realistic. I'm trying to represent the character that I created as best as possible. So for this, I'm going to not go all the way around the outline, but instead, let me just hide this here. I'm going to trace what I'm referring to as the primary lines first, and then I'll add the other ones afterwards. So you've got the basic outline of the hairstyle, and then we can add the curves. So I'll join that one there. Just make gradual adjustments. Yes, so while I'm doing this, nice little fun fact, I have not been keeping up to date with, well, hardly anything going on in the world of Lego at all during these months. So I've, apart from the random leaks and things that have been posted on Twitter and in other places, I really don't know about new products or anything like that. I've also been slacking with the collectible minifigures. I don't have any of the new Harry Potter ones or Series 20, to be absolutely honest. So I have to catch up with those. I don't know what's coming out next year in terms of the minifigures. I really have to catch up with the Friends mini dolls as well. I've not had the certainly the last few waves of Friends mini dolls, and there's a few older ones I still have to obtain. But yes, I've pretty much been out of the loop when it comes to Lego in general, and it's, to be absolutely honest, it's by design, because there are some things which I'll get into in the next live stream that had to be addressed. So I've gone back and added some more lines to complete the hairstyle. I'm just moving them into position. Just trying to follow the pencil, although I can always go back and make some corrections. I'm going to turn off this magnet here, which can be rather annoying sometimes. And again, just trying to avoid having too many straight lines. Let's see what it looks like. That's alright. I don't like this bit here. Let's see what we can do about it. Oh, thanks for pointing that out. Alright, so hopefully you can see my flash screen again. Right, so I'm still making adjustments to this rather complicated hairstyle. Just trying to get it as good as I can get it. I think that's okay. I think it's alright. I can always go back and edit it, of course. Right, so that's that one, and we're going to move to a very simple one in comparison, which is this one. And this one here is, let's go back to my image, it's this character here. Now, in this one, he has the old school bandana, but once I get hold of one, I'm going to use the newer version, which is more of a do-rag. So I don't have one to hand at the moment, so I've just created what I think is an approximation. Again, I can always go back and edit it once I have a better idea of what it looks like. So I'll start with that one and I'll just curve it down slightly. And then go back to the lines and trace the outline. So yes, I have been doing some things away from YouTube. Mostly been spending time at my studio. Had some bittersweet news. We're going to be moving to a new location, and that's assuming that I'm going to be keeping the studio, which means that next month a lot of effort is going to be made in moving a whole bunch of things. So I won't be as creative as I'd like to be, but hopefully if I do decide to go to the new place, it's going to be great. I've seen the new location yesterday. It's going to be a little bit smaller than my current studio, which isn't so great, but it's in a really good location, and I would like to be able to do live streams from there. The location's so good that I'd have the ultimate bragging rights. I'm not going to say any more about it at the moment because it's not a done deal at the moment. But if I'm able to secure the place and if I'm able to live stream from there, it's going to be off the chain. So it's not the best of shapes. I could do a lot better than that, and I would eventually. Yeah, you know what? I'm not happy with that shape at all. So what I'm going to do is improvise. So I've got the magnet back on. So let's see. I'm going to create a line going straight across here. I'll create another line going straight across here. And I'm going to aim for, let's say, a more symmetrical shape. So what I'll do is create 3 lines for one side and then adjust accordingly. It's a nice little dome here. Right, just going to check. Yep, you guys can see my screen. As a matter of fact, there was a project that I'm hoping to, or I was hoping to complete before the beginning of next month, but it's looking very unlikely, mainly because I haven't planned it properly, and I don't think there's going to be enough time to get things done. But I can always try, and let's put it this way, if I don't get it done in time, then at least I'll have something to show for next year. So I created one side of the bandana. So what I'm doing is, in a different color, just creating a line roughly in the middle of where I want the roughly in the middle of the head. Removing those two lines, and I'm going to copy these curves and flip them horizontally. Oops, there's just one that I had there. I'll select all of them, paste them in the same spots, and flip horizontally, so I can then move this into that position, anchored by this line, and then I'll have a symmetrical shape. Yeah, I would adjust. Okay, it's not quite in the middle. That's why there's a little discrepancy. You can just shift it slightly, and we can simplify this this path, I think, using this tool. Yeah, I'm still not happy with this shape, but I think it will do for the time being. Let's try moving this inward slightly. I guess I'm a perfectionist. I'm not too keen on the shape, but for the sake of time, it will do for now. And finally, we come to this character here, which is one of the newest ones. And I'll just show you again. It's this one here, which was created, I think, 2 years ago. I decided that I needed a sixth member of the family, and it had to be female, and why not represent somebody who is part of an underrepresented class, in my opinion, but make it a little bit different. And I haven't really done much in introducing that character. I did the first part of a comic strip not so long ago and never got round to doing the second part. That's something to aim for by the end of this year, I guess. So with this one, I'm going to split it up into two parts. We have the what do you call this, a ponytail at the back here. So we have, if you go back to the wallpaper, this hairstyle which has these things here. I think they're called ponytails at the back, and then we have the fringe at the front. So we're going to start with doing the ponytail, and I've selected the oval shape. I'm going to start from the right hand side, because again we want to do this in more of a symmetrical fashion. Just get the basic shape of the whatever that's called, and adjust the curves as necessary. If we wanted to, we could even pull this all the way down here, maybe even all the way here, and then, well, to an extent, get the respective shape. And then, well, okay, let's start with that. That's okay. That's actually alright, I think. Can just make a few small adjustments to the shape. Okay, that seems to have been a lot less complex than I thought. Alright, so then what we'll do is create another layer so we can essentially draw over, so we don't interfere with the whatever it's called. And then we can create this this fringe. So we'll start roughly in the middle here, and using the line tool, just go over the various bits again. We'll go here, and then we want to go somewhere. Let's just go here. We can fill in that space later. So I have to remind myself we're not trying to exactly duplicate what I've sketched. We're trying to get a rather pleasing shape though. By the way, let me know in the comments section if I've made you fall asleep. Okay, so here we have the basic shape of, I'm going to call it the fringe. So if we combine these, that's what we want to have mirrored essentially. Right, so if I select both of these, we can do the same as before. Just paste in place and flip horizontally. I'm going to use this part here to join with this bit here, which I've placed more or less in the middle of the head to get a symmetrical look, which I think is fine for this one. Yes, I've made one person sleep at least. Excellent. Right, so what we're going to do is, if we remove this pencil sketch here, what I'm going to do is combine these green lines onto the same layer. I'll just get rid of this layer for now. And because they're now on the same layer, I can manipulate these shapes. So I can take out this line here, for example, and I can take this one out, and I'm going to smooth these lines. I think that's okay. We can get rid of these two lines here in a bit, just a little bit later. Alright, so we have the shapes here. Just saving. So what we're going to do is combine these green lines with the blue lines. So I'll unlock the blue lines layer, take the green lines and remove this layer, paste them in place, and now we have everything on the same layer. So let's start with this character up here. Right, so same as before, we're going to remove some of these lines to get a more cohesive icon. So I'll delete the blue lines, and this is where we may have to do a little bit of cleaning up. So basically just deleting things that we don't want to see. I've moved this green line to join this blue line here, so I can take this particular line away. And we have what I think is a rather pleasing result. And the only thing to do now is take all of those lines there and make them, let's say, black. So that is the entire shape. Just going to remove a few bits. So this is what we're after essentially, something like this. Just out of habit I saved it. And we'll do the same thing here. So what we want to do is remove all of this stuff here. Oops, not that much. Yes, I've still got some practice to do with the bandana. It looks like an ice cream cone or something else, which I'm not going to mention. But yes, we'll do the exact same thing here. And that's our basic shape. I really don't like that. I wish I could redo that one, but I will not bore you guys. And just for completion, I'll turn that one black as well. Alright, so this one I think is straightforward. Just mostly removing these blue lines. Again, we'll have to join these lines up. I think that'll do nicely. If we zoom in a little bit, just to keep things clean, I will move this here and get rid of this bit here. Cool. That's that one. This one is ultra simple. We just have to remove these lines here. And very similarly, give them a black outline. And as I said before, we can remove, for this one, these green lines here. And these blue lines as well. And then we want to address this gap here, which looks good aesthetically, but we will eventually want to be able to fill it in. So what I will do in this case is I will just create a couple more lines in the same green color. You just select this green as a stroke and start with the line there. Just draw a couple of lines joining those two bits there. And I think that's okay. There's straight lines, but we can add a little bit of curve to them. Yeah, I think I will. Alright, and yeah, one more time, just give them a black outline. And I think that's pretty much it. So a little bit of housekeeping. If I remember how to do this correctly, I'm going to put these in groups. Yep. Just select them and Control G so I can move them into position. Just do them for all of them. There's not enough horizontal space at the moment for this one. So what I can do is expand the canvas slightly to accommodate. There we go. And because I'm extra fussy, I'm just going to align them nice and evenly. Alright, so that's pretty much it in terms of creating the icons. And then what I can do, because there's a little bit of time left, I can just very quickly color them in to just to represent each character. So for this one, this is the sig fig, so I'm going to select a nice brown color. Obvious brown color, thank you very much. And these won't be the exact colors I'll use. Just to give a demonstration. And then the eyes, I'll just fill in as black. This one, we have to find a nice flesh color. Let's mix one up very quickly, using this color wheel. Gosh, does anyone remember this? It's been a while since I've seen this. So you want a nice flesh color. That'll do. All right, and then we want a redhead color, because this character's a redhead, or rather she's auburn. So I think something like this, but a little bit more red. That'll do nicely. Yeah, that's good. And they have grey eyes. Okay. And this is one other reason I like using Flash. It makes it a little bit easier to, once you've got this line art down, to be able to color things in. I'm just going to go for a darker brown for this first character. Again, not the exact colors I'm going to use in general, but you get an idea. And I'll use the same brown for this one. Yes, with the with these characters, I wanted to include some level of, in quotes, diversity. So everybody's represented. We have the traditional yellow figure, which is represented with this character. We have different kinds of, in quotes, fleshies. We have male and female. We may even have the different orientations. I'm not going to say anything about that. But yes, with all the talk about diversity and being inclusive, etc., I wanted to create an ensemble that actually was, or is. So in any case, we stumbled across even a nice tan color, which I'll use for this character's hairstyle. And this one has green eyes. I decided quite a while ago that this one had green eyes. Not vivid green, but we can tell they're green. Alright, this one will have the same fleshy color as this other one here. Let's go back and actually pick it, because otherwise it will be inaccurate. You won't be able to see pure white, so we'll just do an off-white. Just so you can see that it's been filled. And rather predictably, this character has blue eyes. Let's see, something suitable for blue. Let's go with this one. And for this last one, we want well, it's the color that some website that was recently bought by Lego refers to as medium dark nougat, which is previously called medium dark flesh. I prefer medium dark flesh, to be honest. I know it as flesh, so I'll just refer to it as flesh. And again, just an approximation. little bit darker than that actually. It's a little bit darker, not as orange. That'll do nicely. And they have literal yellow hair. And if I remember correctly, I should know because I created this character, this one has brown eyes. So I will select something suitable from this color wheel. That's a bit too green for my liking. Want it dark but visible as brown. Okay, that's that. So that's all of them. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna do for these. This is the basics of how I'll go about creating these graphics, and there's obviously more work to do on them before I actually put them to use. This was a nice trip down memory lane for how I used to create graphics and things, and I have, as I mentioned before, other strategies and techniques for doing so. But yes, you'll see these hopefully coming up time and time again in the future, albeit in a slightly different form. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're approaching 5 p.m. and this has gone on long enough. I've probably put a whole bunch of people to sleep. But yes, thank you very much for joining me on this live stream, and hopefully there will be many more. Hopefully with a little bit more energy and excitement, and with perhaps more interesting subjects. The next one I'm going to do is going to go into a bit more depth about what I've been doing in the last few months and the direction I'm going to be taking things in the future. That one, you may want to get yourself a stiff drink for that one because there's a lot to get off my chest. But it's going to be a good one. Thank you very much for joining me again, whether you're joining me live or after the fact. And this has been Drew, also known as Silent Mode. Until next time.